This program has been rated mature by the Gaming Radio Network. It is unsuitable for under 18s due to content of an adult nature, which may be classed as offensive to some people.
Let us start a show. It's good. It's Sunday. It's the 24th of April 2016, and this is the Sunday Show on E-Radio, which is This Week in New Eden. Hello, hello, hello. As per usual, myself and Dirk are here to talk about all the stuff going on in New Eden this week, and it is the Post-Fan Fest edition. Neither of us were actually in Iceland, though.
The FanFest letdown show. Well, meaning just it's after FanFest, right? I mean, so it's not like we could pre-hype it or anything. You know, it's just...
Yeah, it's the post-hype show. It's the sort of like, oh, it was a bit...
It's the first day on the road to Eve Vegas, though.
This is true. This is true. So it's the first day on the road to Eve Vegas. So we are live here. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just going to do the spams everywhere because why not? Is that the right spam? No, that's not the right spam. That's a YouTube link. I don't know why that came up there. But yeah, this is This Week in New Eden. We have had FanFest. It has now been and gone. FanFest is now been and now gone. And so yeah. So Twitch or Eve Radio. Well, we do both. So it's all good. We do the same. So anyway, where are we? What are we doing?
Well, I mean, if you want to see us talk.
Yeah, if you want to see two
Twitch.
talking heads, Twitch or YouTube, because we're on both. And the links are posted everywhere. So I just have to wait now. I'm just going to get bleeps everywhere because I forgot I've turned sound on stuff. And anyway, FanFest.
Looks like it was a good time for the people that were there. I mean,
it does. From what I saw of it, and I will admit,
I mean, the party looked outstanding. I gotta say,
I didn't see any of the party. I will admit.
Well, I mean, I didn't see it. I just saw pictures and the responses from people.
Yeah. Let's go over the high level. Let's go over the complete high level. So, FanFest happened. So, that's basically, if you don't know what FanFest is,
That's pretty much the high level.
That's the high level, yeah. If you don't know what FanFest is, and a lot of people don't, a lot of people out there may not know. Some people who listen to the show may actually not know what FanFest is. Yeah, well, you remember.
Or just the world.
In the world, but also in Eve. Remember, there are people out there in this world that don't know what the CSM is.
Oh. How can that be? How can that be after so long?
Jenny, what's the CSM? CSM. Yeah, she's looked at me and went, CSM? What?
Huh?
What? No, what's the CSM now? What is this now? Anyway, the CSM, well, we'll talk about that as well. FanFest has been and gone. And it's another year. I would love to have gone. I did set aside holiday time and then real life changed and stuff, but, well, that's what's going to happen.
I don't think that there was anything huge that came out of it, and I say that from the standpoint, well, just as an observation, but also from the standpoint of I think that's good. Mm-hmm. Because we know that there is a lot of stuff that has come out already. There's a lot of stuff that we know is coming out on the 27th, right? Citadel, the expansion is coming in 3 days? Okay, so Tuesday. But there wasn't necessarily anything where it's like this massive foreshadowing of something. That hype that sometimes after a FanFest cannot be lived up to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of details that were coming out, and a lot of things that that were being apparently discussed in some of these side things. The one thing I haven't really gotten a chance to look at are some of the side videos. I guess I don't even know that they're out yet. But
no, they'll probably be out. Well, considering we've got an expansion coming out Tuesday, I'm going to say by Friday we might have something. Do you reckon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're going to start to see. Yeah, I think. I think that they've all been very busy and not uploading some of this stuff out there. Plus, you've got people who are on site, players who are on site, who while they've put out a few dribs and drabs of things along the way, haven't written those kind of full-length things. I think Drakarn's blog might be a good source for people who are looking to pull out stuff, because he did kind of a running thing of it.
Yeah, he's always done that. He's always done that when he goes to places like that, because he lives in the Middle East naturally. Well, where he does. He's from England. He lives in the Middle East, but he goes to all the FanFest events and stuff like that. And he just literally puts a ton of stuff up.
Go Killer 900 says if we're talking about the CSM, we're going to talk about Zenuria. Well, we are going to talk about the CSM.
Yeah.
We only alluded to the CSM before as something that some people don't know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are going to talk about that.
You know, the amount of stuff that he put up. Let's use Dragon's Blog for it, actually, because he does do
because that is well, you know, because I mean, obviously that is one of the things that came out of FanFest, right?
Yes.
Is the CSM election results?
Yeah.
Do you happen to have a link to you know where it shows the pictures of the people? Anyways, I don't know. Why don't we just dive right into the CSM?
Yeah, let's dive right into CSM. So, from the Matani.com, they have the announcement. Well, the announcement was everywhere, but it was announced on stage. And I will post links in game, and I'll see. It was announced that the CSM, Council of Stellar Management 11, has been officially announced, obviously. Only person who ran again, well, there's two people that ran again that got back in as incumbents. Steve Ranukin and Gorski Carr. Even though Gorski Carr wasn't actually elected in the last two, he was an alternate. He actually got in first time election this year. So
yeah, I think that might be bad juju for Gorski. I think that maybe Gorski like works better when he comes in like 15th and then gets on because of somebody else's mistake. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be like for Gorski to actually be elected onto the CSM on the first ballot.
It does. Well, so let's go through it in no particular order.
It would be funny if he was the one this year who got kicked off and like somebody else got on because of him.
No, you know what?
I mean?
No. Again, totally off thing. But what we would really be seriously interesting would be if Gorski got kicked off and Zenuria was the replacement. But we now know that can't happen.
We can't have that anymore.
Because
so
Zenuria.
I don't think.
Yeah. Well, let's get the shock out of the way. Because they announced it different this year. They announced it in order. That was no, they didn't. They didn't do a splash. It was in order. It was one at a time.
Well, no, right. But what they said was in no particular order.
In no particular order, but they did it one at a time.
Right.
And the thing is, as well, last year they just put a screenshot up, and that was it. It was gone.
Yeah.
This year it was like they talked about well, they didn't talk about. They said this person and this person and this person, and it got right to the end. After Arif, I thought, okay, well, Zenuria's not. But no, I've got nothing against him. He's a good guy. You know, he's probably going to do very good. But let's talk about it. Well, should we talk about Zenuria first, or should we leave that as a tease and bring that in after?
I don't know. I mean, it's just another. I think the bigger thing this year is once again it appears as though voting was down.
Yes.
Which is not surprising for a couple of reasons. One being, well, number one, I think that voting has kind of been in decline overall, but subscriptions are probably down. I think we know this, and then also, I think that there's a lot of people out there that have in many ways. You've always had people who never really got involved or supported or knew a lot about it or whatever, right? And I think that we now also have people who were maybe cognizant of it and supporters of it that maybe just didn't care this year.
Yeah. Well, again, this is the thing. People who know, right? For example, because
of last year, but also because of just the history, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's not blame it all on last year or anything like that. But
no, it's not blame. I tried to explain it to. Well, fun enough, we're just actually going through the London mayor elections and that in the UK at the moment. So I did my vote by post and that, and I tried to explain it to my sister about. She's like, "Why are we voting for two people? Why is no just one?" I said, "Well, because they're going to have the mayor." And I said, "Well, it might be an STV." And I went, "Actually, no, it's not. It's just going to be the deputy or something like that. It'll be something like that." But and she was like, "What's an STV?" So I had to explain the STV system and all that. But the point is that we knew there's a certain threshold to get past. Not like in the first past the post that we've talked about before, where it's like first past the post, boom, boom, boom. Whereas now it's like, well, you need to get a certain amount. So you're going to need to get 10k. If you say, oh, we're going to have 25, 30k people voting, we have to get 10k worth of people to vote for this person and then this person and this person. So it's the thing with this CSM, it's apart from Steve, it's nullsec only. Well, I'm sorry, Noobman and Noobman for Hard Knocks. And technically,
yeah, you got some wormhole stuff going on there, but really this is what I would say is probably the most well, and even with Noobman, I think he's got relations with PL and there's a bit of nullsec wrapped up in him too.
Yeah,
I think it is the most nullsec dominated CSM certainly since they moved to the 14 member slate.
Yes.
But even maybe going back, other than maybe the one the Matani was on, if I recall, that was pretty heavily.
That was 59K.
Yeah, but it's certainly looking at. Oh, I'm getting something on a side channel over here, and I'm like, what? Something about somebody's Space Jesus has returned. We'll get to that actually later. Where the hell was I going with this? It is very heavily dominated towards nullsec. Okay, now, well, a lot of people out there will gripe about that and stuff, which I do think, from a diversity standpoint, bad. Okay, I think that we want the CSM to have a bit more diversity to it. That was the purpose of moving to a 14-member slate. That was the purpose of the single transferable vote system that they put in place. But one thing that you will never escape, not in EVE elections, which this is, or in real-world elections, is that organized groups are organized. Disorganized groups result in fragmented candidacies that never, it's very hard to get grassroots stuff up from a fragmented group of people out there. HiSec, much more fragmented, than nullsec, right? So this is why you end up with more nullsec people at any given time, simply because they are organized. You can sit there and say that they're a bunch of sheep who follow these ballot lists and things like that, but that's really not it either. It's the fact that those groups are, whether they put them 1, 2, 3, or 10, it doesn't, it almost doesn't matter. They are focused on their particular candidates as a group.
Yes.
Whereas maybe it's just, a few people who are focused on this guy over here from HiSec that nobody knows or whatever. So, I mean, don't think of it as nullsec blocks. In this case, you have to think of it as nullsec parties. This is a party system that we are dealing with here, not just a block system.
Yeah. Again, when you look at right, we've got 4 PL, so 4 Pandemic Legion. Is that right? Yes. No. Is it 4? Yeah. It is 4.
I think it's 5. Isn't it 5? I thought it was 5 Pandemic Legion.
You've got Bobmon, Nash Cadaver, Mr. Hyde, and Gorski Carr are actually in PL directly.
Okay.
You've got, from Goon Swarm, you've got Inominate, you've got Arith, you've got Zenuria.
Then you got the 2X. Well, then you've got Imperium because you got Bastion.
Yep.
And then on that, then you've got the 2X Imperium, Kyla Parthos.
Yep.
And the judge from
now,
CO2.
Kyla Parthos, he got a lot of hate. He got a lot of hate this week. I saw on Twitter, on Sunday on Twitter, because people are saying, "Oh, you used SMAs just to get you in," and if he did, he did. If he didn't, he didn't. But hey,
I don't think anybody used anybody. No. I mean, well, here's the thing, right? Remember back when these candidacies were put in place. Remember back when even the voting was taking place, right? I mean, CO2 hadn't fallen out at that point.
Exactly. SMA hadn't fallen out.
Well, Kyle hadn't fallen out with SMA, which then also kind of, has gone, gone where it's gone now. So, times just change, or, time moves on and things happen over the course of that time. I don't think anybody used anything like that.
Oh, I agree.
But ultimately we have a massively dominated nullsec thing, which is fine if from the standpoint of it's fine because that's what the voters chose to do.
Exactly, and that's what. And again, this is
first and foremost.
That's what the voters chose to do. A lot of people go, well, in game. No, it's not Crib. Crib Sebesta says it's a crock of shit nullsec again. The problem is, yes, because the nullsec blocks went out there and voted their people in. That's what I've said before. You can complain as much as you want, right, in real life about this and that, the government doesn't do this or the local councils don't do that, but.
I'm sure in some districts or wherever, over in the UK or wherever you are, right, there's some party that dominates.
Yes,
always. An election in a given year or things like that. I wish it was different. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there is some way of saying, well, look, we want there to be more diversity, and we're going to build that diversity in by making sure that we have representation. So therefore, when you go to vote. If you're a candidate and you're going to say, I want to represent HiSec, you're going to be put into this HiSec bucket over here. And then people who want to vote for HiSec candidates have to declare themselves as being a HiSec voter. and then do something like that. I don't know. And then maybe you have some so maybe you have some from nullsec, some from wormhole, some from lowsec, some from highsec, and then maybe you have some at-large candidates.
Yeah.
Okay.
To answer Durkadin in Twitch, wasn't the voter turnout crazy low? Yeah, it was 22k from last year's 39k, which is, when you look at it, that's a 40% drop. On my quick table napkin math, that's 40% down on last year.
Yep. And like I said, I think that has to do with lower subscriptions, as well as potentially apathy, voter apathy.
Yeah. Again, but 22k is low. But what you remember is, I'm looking right now. There are currently 33,000 people playing EVE right now. Right. Come Tuesday, when we have Citadels hit, when for a lesser extent, Dirk, the playing field for
skill training is
completely
destroyed
changes.
and you died.
And thank you to Sunny1463 for following there. The playing field for nullsec, not politics but warfare, doesn't come. I don't want to say completely change, but it majorly changes, doesn't it? With the change to carriers, super carriers, everything that's going on, the new Doomsdays, the new guns, everything that's coming in, complete change. You can't just take out a slow cat blob anymore.
No, but I mean, look, warfare is warfare, and it's just another way of doing it now. These are just new mechanics, they're just changes. I don't know. I don't know that all that much changes, other than how we do things. But anyways, I do wish that there would be more diversity. But what that takes is especially in places like highsec, right? Especially in places like or lowsec. I mean, let's look at who was really kind of the representation in the last couple, right? You had Sugar Kyle out of lowsec, okay, who when she first ran, lowsec and faction warfare, I think, really kind of coalesced about, hey, look, we need to be smart, okay, and organize something here. Wormholes did the same thing back with Corbex and some people like that. Mike Azariah lost on multiple occasions, before finally being elected. But the level of work that he put in, okay, to be able to get name recognition out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these are the things that it is much harder for players that come from these more fragmented areas. It can be done, but what it takes is a mentality from the candidate to, I'm going to get my name out there, as well as the players in that area to say, we want representation, and we can't do it if we are fragmented. We're going to have to come together on something.
Exactly, and this is it, where you've got to look at...
Elections are elections. It's the real world. You're not going to get your grassroots, local, crunchy nut eater, elected unless everybody says, wait a second, hold on. I know you got your crunchy nut eater, and this person's got their we need to band together and select just one of us, and then we'll, try and get the best of all the things,
I don't want to do.
Otherwise, the parties are going to dominate it.
I don't want to put it into the U.S. political race, but it could technically be the whole Trump and the Trump.
Well, no, I mean because even there we've got two parties, right? But try and get an independent, okay? Because you got to remember that and here in the United States, Republicans are smaller than Democrats, okay? But both are smaller than the independents, okay? The independents is a big, giant thing, right? But try and get a candidate who's not from the Republican Party or from the Democratic Party. It is nigh on impossible. I mean, the last time that we had an independent over here who got more than 3 or 4% of the total vote in a presidential election was Perot in 1992, okay? I mean... he got. I think he got 20-something% or something. Something like that.
Yeah,
it's incredibly difficult.
And it is. And again, it comes back to CSM. Was what we're talking about here. The voter apathy, as you said before, it does come into it, because if you don't feel like you're having a good time or you're enjoying it, you're not going to play. You're not going to have your 12 accounts subscribed to do it. You're not going to have this. And you know what?
I'll be honest. For me, okay. I used to vote with 7-8 accounts. Back in the day. Okay. I only had 2 subscribed at the time that that the vote went down. I mean, both of them voted, but
Yeah.
I only had 2 subscribed
I
at
had
that
the
time.
same. I had the same. I actually had my main
All of a
account.
sudden, if the war had been on at that time, I would have had at least 4 on.
exactly.
Because as soon as I got back involved in and the war was
Yeah,
on,
you bring in the other
boom,
characters.
a couple more accounts came on.
Exactly, you bring in the other characters you need. I mean, I had one account, I had my main account active, and I was testing. And again, this year I tested it, and I let CCP know, the same as every other year. There was still the bug that you could go and vote with a Plex for Hours account, which I did. I voted with a Plex for Hours account. My second account, I used Plex for Hours, put it in, voted, then I put a Plex on it so it can keep the Plex for Hours running. And I was doing that because I wanted the actual account up, so I wanted to get some stuff off it. But
Now what? Yeah, go ahead.
the point being is, CCP said, oh, that won't be a problem this year. It was. I let them know. I didn't hear anything back. I don't know if it was fixed, but that was the problem in a previous year where people knew they could do that. And again, with the voter apathy, with the amount of people that just are, there are a lot of people that are disenfranchised with the game right now. Are like, well, there are people coming back. Like we heard last night that Darius Johnson is coming back to EVE. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, let's hold that off.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, but this is.
But I understand the point you're making there. Sir Six over in the Twitch channel said the CSM is nothing more than a bunch of people who have fanboys and girls that vote brigade them in the positions. I don't think anybody has ever said that an election is not pretty much that, but that's more of a modern day, when you start saying vote brigading, that has this Reddit connotation to it. I mean, the fact is that organized parties, organized voters get their people elected.
Exactly. Stoiker in Twitch, I have to admit, I didn't vote. And why didn't you vote? Because, if you didn't vote because you feel that, that
I had a hard time voting this year. Okay, well, here's one of the things, right? Number one, I still believe in the whole idea that we are an uninformed voter base.
Yes.
Okay. Just simply because to try and elect one of these individuals out there who has no track record in anything, whether it be public writing or public words other than their candidacy, or an interview, on Cap Stable or something, and props to them for doing it. But let's all be honest here, okay? The answers that are given are not something that you would actually rely on to vote somebody into anything that you thought was consequential. That being said, it's what we have. But to try and put 14 in a row out of, what was it, 53 this year?
Yeah.
To try and put 14 in a row to do a full ballot, I think it's hard for even those of us who try and follow this and try and follow the people and that are involved, let alone, I'll call it the average player out there.
Yeah. I mean, well,
let alone the sub-average player out there.
Well, I voted for, I think, 10 this year. I think I used 10 on both my accounts. And the only reason being is, there's a lot of people out there that go, oh, vote for this, vote for that. I'm glad to see that Bobmon got on there. And I'm glad to see that Nash Cadaver got on there. You know what? I didn't vote for Nash. As good as a friend he is, I didn't like his platform. And again, if you go by just that, it's a platform. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've never fallen for any of the, and this is nothing against Nash, who I think does a lot of good things out there, right? I've never fallen for the idea that community candidates are legitimate simply from that regard. I'm looking for people who I think know something about the game, and if you're like a big community organizer type event type person, something like that, you probably don't, if you're good at it, you don't need to be on the CSM to really kind of have the interaction with people at CCP that can help with that whole community thing anyways. That being said, I understand how they get on there. People that have higher, name recognition and things along those lines. Again, name recognition is huge. I mean, if you don't know somebody's name, and it rings a bell as maybe they're somehow space important in some way, it's harder to get them elected unless they're coming from one of these big organized block parties.
Yeah. Again, that's. There you go. Looking back through the chat, I asked Stuka and Sir Six why they both didn't vote. Stuka says, I didn't really care, but if Sapporo Jones hadn't fucked up his application, he probably would have voted for him. And I love the fact that you know why Sapporo Jones wasn't on the ballot, don't you?
I don't know.
Well, he did the he filled out the website, he filled out the post on the website, but he didn't actually fill the application out. He was drunk, apparently. But that's
well.
Porter Jones. Or that, or he was thinking about Subaru.
We all do things when we're drunk that
Yeah.
Well, anyways, yeah, I don't know. So anyways, nullsec dominated. Obviously, wish it wasn't that, but it is. It's just the way. It's always going to be nullsec heavy. This time, it's just a little too much, I think. Because even though we are going through nullsec issues right now, and into the foreseeable future, things that are really kind of centered around nullsec, even though they may have tangential things out into other areas. And I don't just mean Citadel's, structures and things like that, but other aspects that they're working on that have a strong play in the nullsec meta. There are going to be other things that come up along the way, big and small, okay, that you definitely want voices from within the high-sec community. Now, let's put it this way. We all know that the CSM, to some extent, okay, has been marginalized as far as a source of information that, for CCP,
yes.
Right? We know, and I say marginalized only from the standpoint of CCP is more active out there in other areas, whether it be, Slack or whether it be Reddit or, that their ability to communicate and willingness to communicate and be out there seeking out, information and opinion from people has broadened from where it was in the past.
Yeah.
Not to say that they've been marginalized because they're shit or anything like that. And let's all remember to not put upon the CSM maybe the failures or whatever of the past. This is a new slate. This is a generally clean slate of people on there. The CSM doesn't act as a unified group. It is 14 members who are all their own individuals as far as attempting to communicate something to CCP. If they do coalesce around a particular issue, great, but they don't have to do that. They all have to develop their own relationships with CCP and become a trusted, valued resource to them as an individual. Which brings us to these candidates as individuals, right?
Yes.
There are some people out there who think that, Zenuria is going to be a complete shit show. Who knows? Okay, we can go on some past stuff out there, and believe me, I'm not defending this. Okay, what I'm saying is we're going to find out. All right, we're going to find out. Aerith from Goons.
Yeah.
The guy's friggin' smart. Okay, the guy knows about this game. Okay, how he chooses to interact will determine whether or not his level of intelligence and what he knows about this game will be beneficial and CCP will seek it out, or whether or not they'll cut it off at the knees because something happens in, attitudinally or something along those lines. The same goes for every single one of them.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of every single one of them, we've been joined by former CSM member,
CSM alumnus.
CSM alumni, Mike Azariah. Mike, how are you doing, sir?
Pretty not too bad. Kind of tired from trying to keep up with what's been going on at FanFest, but other than that, good.
Mm-hmm. Good. Are you happy? Well, even though you're now not officially CSM, you still I remember Seagull saying that a lot of you guys were going to sort of, for a month, the transition period to help the new guys in. Are you going to be sort of helping out with that sort of stuff, or have you just said?
Oh, you know better than to ask that. Hell yeah! I actually told Logibro and Guard that I'll leave when they tell me to shut up, Mike, and they cut all my access off. Until then, I'm there.
I would be careful with that because they just may grandfather you in permanently, and you'll be there. You'll be like 6 years from time and go, I thought, and then I shut up, Mike. Carry on, slap. But no.
I'm glad Mike's here because because of the conversation that we were having earlier about fragmentation outside of the nullsec block parties and things like that, right? Mike, can you explain to the people out there what it took for you coming out of HiSec and wherever you originated from to finally get elected the first time? Because after the first time, and I would say the same for Sugar Kyle, after the first time, people now had a track record that they could sit there and say, oh, God, you know what? That guy's from over there, but you know what? He's working hard. She's working hard. Look what they're doing. But before that, what did it take for you to get on?
I lost 3 or 4 elections prior to winning any of them. And the hardest thing was, like you said, getting my name out there and getting acknowledged as somebody who wasn't just I was considered a joke candidate for several elections. I never was running as a joke, but that's what I was considered.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when in the one that you were elected, because by that point, the process, well, I mean, the process had already begun to, where you would see some of these organized groups put up slates, right? Were you on, say, a CFC slate at that time? Were you on a slate from one of the other kind of organized? I mean, back then, I don't know. I mean, was HBC slate?
Oddly,
thing,
yeah, I was on the Goons. I was number 14 on the Goons slate one time, and I believe that might have been the first election or the second one that I won. So that'd be 8 or 9. But I never did figure out how, because I never cut any deals with them or anything like that. I think they ran out of people to think about, so they tossed me on. I wasn't consulted by them.
Yeah. No, I just want again, because it comes down to this thing of you did a lot of Mike is known, okay, and was known back during the elections that he lost, let alone the ones that he won, for hopping into podcasts, being out there. Obviously he had his blog and things that he was writing on, but getting his name out there, being active in the talking head circuit is the best way I could do it. I don't know. Mike Azariah might as well be Mike Huckabee. I don't know, but
no, that's
except
a totally
not from your
fair thing, and
leanings, I'm sure.
that was the only way I could do it, was to get my name out there. If I had a chance to be on a podcast, the thing is, I'm off of the CSM now. Do you honestly think I'm going to shut up?
No, of course you don't.
No, and I think that and I think in reading at least what I think was your most recent blog post, you've said, look, I'm not going to be in the CSM, but that doesn't mean I'm stepping away. I'm still going to be vocal out there, which I think is absolutely good. Obviously, CSM alumni, former CSM members, I believe, still have a communication channel to CCP.
Not a direct
semi-official.
We have there is a CSM alumni channel, but
Yep.
I've never seen much CCP representation in there. But the thing that we have that I suppose you can consider an inside track is they know me. They know other CSMs, and also I know the contact methods to talk directly to a dev. It's not like they can erase all my email contact list.
Exactly.
I'm going to lose my CSM email. I expect that to shut down in about a month, but I still know who to talk to, and I know the right way to talk to them.
Yep. And that's incredibly important. I mean, this goes back to a whole lot of former CSM members who maintain contact with certain devs there. Hell, just certain players in general, okay, that have contacts, not to get inside information, not to, right, but can throw a comment, can throw a conversation at somebody up there. There are a number of ways of influencing, or communicating with CCP that isn't just about the current sitting CSM. They are in fact the active ones. They are in fact the ones that are seeing and hearing about stuff before the rest of us. Okay, to some extent. I don't know. Look, every CSM. At the end of every CSM, I'm really typically kind of down on the whole process. At the beginning of every CSM, I try and wipe my brain clean of what has happened in the past and hope that the one going forward will in fact be productive, will in fact be as drama-free as possible, will be more transparent than the last, but who knows. But I try and approach it from the standpoint of, let's see how it shakes out. Let's see how each of these individuals shakes out. Let's not write anybody off right now. And let's also remember that if somebody does need to be written off, they've actually firmed that up a little bit better than what it was in the past. Am I correct, Mike?
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they follow through with things that we've discussed. The biggest thing, and that's what I was saying. Oh, no, I haven't published that one yet. I'm writing a blog post, which is my advice to CSM 11. But it's basically, I hope CCP this time around moves faster when things go south. They don't let anything fester. If somebody's inactive, you boot him. If someone's being an asshole, kick him so fast he Doppler's red. He just vanishes. And it sounds like I'm asking for an iron fist, and to a certain extent, if you want this process to work, you have to show that both sides are serious. And serious means if somebody is a disruptive asshole, get rid of them because they're bringing the whole group down. And it only needs one or two really bad ones to screw up a lot of time in the CSM or to set a bad year. And it can happen. And I'm serious that sometimes it is. One or two people can really bring the whole process to a screeching halt.
And that is one of the things that I really hope that they are in fact iron-fisted with. No individual can be more important than the institution itself. Do not let one person destroy the whole thing, because it doesn't just destroy it for the people who are there. It destroys it for everybody else involved. I mean, it ruins it on the it ruins it for what CCP is trying to get out of it. It ruins it for what the players are hoping to get out of it, and certainly for the other individuals on the CSM who are putting in what I believe to be way too many hours worth of effort.
It's frustrating when things get shut down because of soured communications, that sort of thing. And you're honestly one of the ones, hopefully I never screwed up. Well, I screw up all the time, but if you know what I mean, I never did anything to ruin the communication process. But you're standing there trying to talk and everybody's got their arms folded and their backs to each other.
Mm. Yep.
But again, that's
another thing that, I'll put this on the CCP side. Okay, that when things go bad, the answer is not fuck it. When things go bad, the answer is deal with that which is going bad, and now let's continue to move ahead, right?
Exactly. Quick, interesting look at numbers. This is the third lowest voter turnout in the history of the CSM.
Yeah, I know. And during the election, I was trying to get them to do things like release initial numbers of what the turnout was, just to kind of spur people on, that sort of thing. I think the reason why was CSM 10 was not my proudest CSM, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that. Yeah, with the three people that were I don't want to say removed, three people that left the CSM on that term. I would say left/removed, whatever. It wasn't, it wasn't Funky Bacon style rage, but it was still, it wasn't nice, if you know.
Yeah, like I said,
Which were the other elections that were lower than this?
CSM 2 was the lowest at 20,112, and then CSM 4 at 21,158.
Okay. So
the one thing I'd like to see that they will never ever tell us is percentage turnout. They give us raw numbers, and raw numbers is such a low turnout, but
they can't give you percentage because then you'll be able to back into
yeah, that's why.
Subscriptions.
And I honestly do not know what the current subscriber number is or active player number is, so I can't leak that because I don't know it. But it would be interesting to see if comparing it to one of the high middle elections is a fair comparison if the turnout was still the same percentage and there's just not that many people playing.
Well, this is what we talked about before. We did talk about this before you came here, Mike. And that's one of the things you look at. Dirk said before, he only voted with 2 accounts. I voted with 2 accounts. He's like, 3 CSMs ago, you voted with 7 because you had 7 active accounts. And I'm sure that's the same with the amount of players that are out there. The people are just not playing, so...
It also would be interesting if the election happened now, after WWB has started, to see if the election numbers would be, whether the Goons would have gotten 6 or 7 in, whether the PL would have gotten more in, just because there's more people playing now. I will bet money on that than there were 2 months ago.
Skill training
that's what I'm
is
saying.
destroyed
I mean,
and you
when
died.
the war really kicked into gear, all of a sudden I had accounts coming online. They just weren't online at the time voting was happening because shit wasn't really happening out there from my perspective where I needed those accounts. But I mean, look, what I will say is this is the lowest voter turnout in what I'll call the modern era of the CSM. And because when you look at those other two, what would you say, 2 and 4? Remember, those used to be 6-month terms.
Yeah.
So those were only 2 years into the entire CSM process. It's not surprising that you had lower turnout back then, because quite honestly, again, we have spent a number of years trying to just communicate this thing exists out there to the player base. I don't think CCP's done a good job over the years. They're getting better, I think, but when you go back to the beginning, I don't think that they did a good job of really putting this idea of the CSM, right in the face of the players, not the ones who listen to shows like this or read blogs or, check out, Eve News 24 or the Matani.com or Crossing Zebras or whatever, right? I'm talking about the people who aren't engaged at that level. They've got to find a way of, communicating it to them, communicating what this is and why maybe they should think that it has some merit.
Well, apparently, Dirk, you've got 2 votes. Bushigo and Ocean Wood voted for you both, and one of them's in the NBC.
Hell, Dirk, if you ran, I'd vote for you, even if I was running against you.
You know what? I have a lot of respect for the people who do run from the standpoint of they're taking on a lot more effort than they probably even know about going into it. Having followed this as long as I have, and having seen the broken carcasses that can sometimes come out of the CSM, I know that level of effort is something that sucks people in. It sucks their soul out of them, and I've just determined that it's not. There was a time, I think it was back in just before 10, that I was actually considering it, and then said nope. I'd much rather talk about it and talk to people like you and other CSM members and hope that CCP hears that.
See, now that's the thing, Dirk, is I would say that you are at times just as powerful as we on the CSM have been or will be, because you actually have far reach, so do you, Wiggles. And just because you're not on the CSM doesn't mean you can't influence the conversation. You have a better reach than we do. I mean, hell, I think you could argue the same thing you were saying earlier, Wiggles. I'm probably one of the most vocal CSM and have been for a couple of years because I still come out and talk to people. And but for the most part, it's almost like we get elected to a secret little club and then we vanish.
Skill training is destroyed.
I think for a number of candidates that is the case. It is one of the things that I would like to see kind of end for some of these people out there, where once they are elected, they're not out there talking to the public. They're only out there talking to their constituency or what they think is their constituency. And I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish that they would try and communicate more broadly. I think it would help them. I think it would help, even if what they're saying is, is what they think, and maybe it doesn't apply to these guys over here. At least try and communicate. But I have low expectations on that.
One thing I'm gonna push for in the transition period is get the CSM people to put out, and we've done this in the past, what communication methods they monitor and which one they would prefer constituents contact them. In other words, give the contact info, and then I'll be pushing that info to anybody who'll publish it out there. Because obviously, just the 37 people who read my blog don't count. So I gotta get it out to people who can put it out in front saying, this is your CSM, even if you didn't vote for them, these are the people that you should spend some of your time yelling at if you want to get through to CCP.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, your being out there the way you were, I think, was a byproduct of how you got elected, right? I mean, you were out there talking to people, on podcasts and things like that. People like Sugar Kyle, people like, I'm going to forget who it is now. When they were doing the player kind of.
That was Corbex was the other big
Corbex.
One for the town halls.
Yeah, that's right. The town halls, doing things like that. But there are other ones out there, and look, it is generally the nullsec blocks. Once elected, they get elected by their internal stuff, and once elected, they keep their information. They keep their commentary to. But then again, I'll be honest that. I'm in one of those blocks, and I don't necessarily hear communications from the CSM representatives, that are sometimes associated with that group.
I was always wondering about that, whether they said they only represent their own people, but I got the impression that they were only representing the high command of their own people. Like they their communication was to a very select number of people after elected. But seeing as I'm not in a block, I couldn't. What do you do? Ask them? Who do you talk to? Because that sounds like you're asking who you leaking to.
No, and I don't mean who do you talk to in terms of where are you getting kind of the information that is influencing your mindset, and then, you know, how you're dealing with that at CCP, or that you are representing this block. Because I do think that a number of these candidates, even from the nullsec area, don't necessarily go in there with an agenda of need to get this done to benefit my tribe, my alliance, whatever. I think that they're broader minded than that. I think that it's too easy to sit there and say, oh, he's only there to represent the goons, or oh, he's only there to represent Pandemic Legion, when speaking to some of these individuals, I know that they have a broader mind that's attached to them than just that.
There are people that I would forget who they represented because they were so broad. The one I want to give a shout out to is from a couple CSMs back, was Minna, who was phenomenal for representing the game, period. Yes. He was a high-end goon. He was part of their money team, but the thing is, he would make recommendations that were good for the game, regardless of what effect they would have on mega blocks or anything like that. And he had nothing but my respect from about the third meeting on.
Yep. Yeah, so I don't think that people go in there, you know, necessarily with that mindset. They do go in there with their bias of where they come from in the game, in terms of just how it has influenced them, right? How it has influenced what they think about the game, and maybe their ideas would come into conflict with something else related to that. But I don't think they go in there trying. And CCP has gotten smart enough to be able to sort of, you know, weed out that, you know, well, you're only saying that because of this, or, you know, are you only saying that because you come from this particular place, as far as, you know, your flag, not just sector of the game.
Yeah, on the other side, there's some new powerhouses, I hope, on the CCP side that I really regret not getting a better chance to work with. Hell, Ghost showing up just as I'm leaving is making me kick myself for not running. CCP, I can't say her name, Denobula?
Yep. Denebula?
Yeah, is, I've had one or two meetings with her, and these are the kind of people I'd really like to see the next CSM work hard to stay in contact with and connect with. The ones who make the game stay alive more than anything. Like, as far as I'm concerned, what they're going to do in the next year is going to have more effect on the longevity of EVE than any single feature team.
This is it. It's keeping. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. EVE is a very niche game. We know this. It's not your Blizzard. It's not your World of Warcraft. It's not anything that's large. And I said, I was having a conversation with someone in the Tweet Fleet Slack earlier on this week. It must have been Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And it was going over the new opportunity system. They're like, I hate this system. It shouldn't even be in the game. Blah 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 da da da. Rage. Making the game easier. And I turned around and said, look. You can keep the game stupidly hard. You can keep EVE hard, and then you'll have 20,000 people playing it, 30,000 people playing it. Or you can maybe make it a bit easier to pick up and play and start with, and then you might end up getting maybe 50, 60, 70,000 people playing it. You might get new players coming in, and they were like, I don't want new players. I went, well, you're part of the problem. I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but Doug, 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, could you have seen, well, I know you didn't play EVE that long ago, but when you started, could you see yourself playing it for 10 years plus, 15 years plus?
Whoever has really experienced having played a single video game for this long, right? I mean, video games are kind of like disposable commodities, right? You know, you play it, you get tired of it, you move on to the next one, and you just keep leapfrogging.
And then a year later, you read an article that they're shutting down the servers.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're one of the diehards who stick around for some of these things that that are out there, right? No, I mean, who could have known? And not just how long you've been playing, but
what it's done to you in your life, the way it changes your life. Because I sure as hell, me personally, I don't alarm clock for stuff. But I know there are loads of people that will get up at the crack of dawn or middle of the night because they do it for their space friends. And I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I mean is that even if you say, well, I've been playing Eve for 8 years or 10 years, right? When you compile the number of hours that those people have probably put into it, okay, over the course of 8 to 10 years, I mean, it's funny. The other game I'm playing right now is The Division, okay? And every once in a while, I look at, oh shit, it shows me how many, well, in days and hours that I've like been playing it. I'm like, holy shit, I've been playing that like way too much.
Exactly.
I still haven't even made level 30 in The Division, but I'm a tourist. I just run through the city getting yelled at by the locals.
I haven't even got The Division.
That is pretty funny, especially when you get yelled at in like foreign languages and stuff.
I love that. I really want to find a thread that has people who speak the languages to find out, are they saying the same damn stuff?
Yeah, exactly. One thing I just want to go back to because it was something when we were talking about disruptive personalities and how CCP should deal with that rapidly so as not to cause long-term tension that then boils over into everybody turning their back on one another. Caleb Ariana had said, disruptive personality is a factor in real-life meetings. Does not really mean you can just force those voices out, not if the disruption is based on arguments or opinions. Absolutely. This is not about, if they're making good cases or things like that, right? It's all about, just like in real life, when you're in a meeting, how you choose to comport yourself, okay, is fundamental to getting your message across. You walk into a meeting yelling at the boss, you walk into a meeting yelling at the other people in there, and chances are not good things are going to happen. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, you're allowed to disagree. I have disagreed publicly with several decisions that CCP has made. I've disagreed in the meetings as well. But I always did it with composure and successfully sometimes, unsuccessfully other times. But I don't lose my shit, and I don't turn toxic and then start dragging it up. Yeah, well, remember the last time I told you not to do it and it wound up being bad? You should listen to me this time. I don't do that. I lose the battle, I go on to the next battle. I win it, I go on to the next one, but I don't start trying to play people like violins, and I don't start threatening to take it public or leak it if they don't do what I ask them to do. There are ways to win and lose arguments, and there are ways to totally bugger up a communication system. Mm-hmm. You get to choose which you want to do.
Exactly. And that's...
Interpersonal relationships are hard.
No
See, the
kidding.
thing is, I want to...
Especially with cultural.
Yeah.
And it's been pointed out before, Icelandic people have a different... how to say it? They don't say sorry very often. So even when they're wrong, if they admit they're wrong, if you're waiting for an abject apology and a promise to do better next time, it ain't gonna happen. And so, they're not Canadian. Only a couple of them are.
Vikings don't say sorry.
Yeah, getting back to Twitch, Usha says, you can look at the PC numbers since forever. The huge spikes and huge drops for all time of Eve got media hype. Yeah, I agree with you on that. There's a conversation going on about bad metrics and numbers in there. The point is, you've got to remember that even though 40k, 50k, 20k, whatever, Eve is a very, very niche game. I've said this before, and I keep saying it because it is. Yes, you could go out there and have massive meetups. For example, FanFest. There's thousands of people that fly in all around the world to Iceland to do this every year. It's amazing. And a lot of people are like, Eve, yeah, rah, rah. And again, Mike, you could probably back me up on some of this. CCP care about Eve, but they also care about Valkyrie, Gunjack, Project Nova that was announced, all that sort of stuff, because at the end of the day, yes, they're game developers and designers, and they love their game, but they're a company. They're there to make money. And if they don't make money, they go under. Plain and simple.
And part of that is when you're dealing with them, you have to remember that the money is because they have something over, I think somebody just published something over 300 employees. Mm-hmm. This is not 5 guys in a basement being told by Seagull in another room yelling down, do you guys want Hot Pockets? And then going back upstairs to cook them. This is a big corporation. I mean, how many companies in North America get the president of the country to come chat at some fan fest. I mean, can you put that in perspective anywhere else in the world where they had the president of Iceland come to the closing ceremonies?
I thought that was incredibly cool. It's something here in the United States. Because the United States is so big in terms of numbers and all these things, right? I mean, what company would it take to get the president to show up? It's like we can't even get the. Well, we can't even get the mayor of Las Vegas to show up at E-Vegas.
I'm going to tell you right now, South by Southwest this past year, Obama gave a talk. He was invited to go there at South by Southwest, which is a technology/music festival in Texas.
Yes.
And he went. First one ever.
I think what it showed, okay, is look, CCP is consequential to the Icelandic economy.
Exactly.
Okay. Certainly Reykjavik. Okay. And FanFest, okay, the amount of tourism that it brings in and money that it brings into the economy of it is consequential to them up there. And I think that it was very nice. I mean, I loved his discussion. Earl Ragnar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when I'm dealing with them and when CSM deals with CCP, you got to remember, yes, you're representing a whole bunch of people who are playing a game. But on the other side of the table, CCP is not playing a game. They are running a game and they are working a business and they have to make money. I get frustrated every time I say, when is it going to go free to play? And I just look at the person saying that going free to play usually is a death knell for a game and sure as hell won't carry 300 employees.
No, not straight away.
No, and the thing is, it would be a bad thing, and you have to keep in mind that some of the decisions they make may not be popular in the short run, like opening another game or other games. I've heard people complain, why are they spending all the time on Valkyrie? Why don't they fix their broken game called Eve? And I'm going, diversification is a survival thing.
Besides the fact that those are two separate, and look, you can sit there and say, well, if they, weren't diverting resources over here, it doesn't mean that they would be. It doesn't mean that those dollars or those people would even exist if it weren't for the fact of they had, created this division over here to go and do Valkyrie, to go and do Gunjack, to go and do whatever else it is.
Something was quite funny. I caught the, the live art stream, the live art panel. I always try and catch that every year because it was good. And this year, it was the Mordos Legion Capital, and it was a very, very, very funny ship. Actually, it was at the end of it, it was very scary, and he had a top hat and all that. But there was something that the guy that was presenting said, "Oh yeah, no, we do this now." And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "No problem." He goes, the guy that was doing the art turned around and said to him, he goes, "Oh, we've got time." And he goes, "Yeah, we got time to do it." And he goes, "What? I don't have to go fix those bugs on the server." He went, "No, you don't have to fix those bugs." And the audience just cracked up. Everyone in the audience actually got that. It was fucking amazing. Just a tiny little in-joke dig that, oh yeah, people from Art. Again, this is the thing. Someone who works as an art designer doesn't know how to deal with the tables in a SQL database and deal with some other stuff. They don't, and they're not a QA, they're not a software developer, they're not a QA analyst. They and this is the thing. Yes, people. I know so many people out there have gone, "Oh well, I hate the fact that Valkyrie's come out and this and that." You know what? If it puts money in CCP's pockets and allows them to better themselves and get more staff in, I'm all for that. No problem at all.
Yeah. What's one thing I'm looking forward to is an Eve app.
Yes.
I totally went round the bend on that one. There are things that I've been biting my tongue on, because I do know a few things and pay attention once or twice. But that one is, I want to use Inside Track to see if I can get the beta alpha version just to try it out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this was meant to be sort of FanFest sort of roundup. We've sort of talked about the system. Let's talk about that quickly because that was announced in the keynote this year. CCP are working on official apps for iOS and Android. And at the start, they are literally going to be stuff that allows you to do chat and in-game mail, that sort of stuff, which is...
I don't think chat was on there yet.
Yeah, I'm saying in-game mail, maybe chat, stuff like that. But again, things like that work very, very well. My instant thing was so that will be the next step to PI. Doing something like PI that you can't take it off the planet, but you can do tinkering in that, maybe.
Now Oshi says, fixing new player experience now, a buck short, a day late at this point. It's never too late. It's never too late to improve things, okay?
Yep.
Because look, it's not. Eve is not shutting down tomorrow, okay? Eve is not shutting down. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know. Eve may never shut down, so it's not too late to try again. We've been through multiple iterations and multiple attempts at improving the new player experience, improving the retention rate of the people who give Eve a look. Okay, There's going to be a number of reasons why some of those people are never going to stay. There always are, but we can do better. Hopefully, by bringing in CCP Denebola, the chief customer officer. Hopefully, CCP Ghost, things like this will accomplish what they have been unable to in the past. We'll see. But it's never too late to try. I mean, because somebody could have said that in 2008. Somebody could have said that in 2012. Here we are. It's 2016, and there doesn't look to be anything stopping. At least even if this game continued to go on with exactly the number of players that we had today, good God, it can go on indefinitely.
Definitely, yeah. Provided that there is enough money coming in to keep the servers running that pays the bills, they'll keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, okay, is for me is just get the natural sort of the live births to deaths even, right? So that you don't continue to bleed off your population of players.
Exactly.
But if you can get more, if we can get back into a legitimate subscriber growth phase, doesn't have to be monumental growth, but incremental growth, that would be great. On the profitability side, they're doing fine in terms of their growth profitability. The growth of their profitability, but it would be nice if the top end came in, and what I mean by top end is subscriptions. They have these other revenue sources as well, but subscriptions, the number of people actually playing.
Mm-hmm. Again, this is it.
Yes. So it's never too late. It's never too late to try.
Well, what Mike just said in Twitch there, the offices in London, which they had an office in Guildford, which technically isn't London, it's Surrey, but whatever. The new office is coming in London, that's where Denobla's going to be based. I've heard rumours, I've heard tinklings maybe that Hilmar's going to move there permanently and then have a satellite in Reykjavik or whatever. But as you said, they're going to move. You said they're moving to the uni campus, and that makes sense because they've probably got more people they can work with there and certain things. And people go, "Oh, CCP are moving out of Iceland. Oh, something's going wrong." So what?
Well, you know what? Look. There are reasons why places like London, New York, whatever, for financial services and things like that, right? There are reasons why corporate headquarters or where their CEO is located. It may be that with the number of things that CCP is getting involved with now, the different partners that they're having to work with now and things like that if Hilmar is in fact moving to London, that makes logical sense just in terms of if he's having to travel from here to there to wherever, or he's having, who knows, maybe he's having to travel to London just to meet people because they're not coming to Iceland. They're already going to be in London for something else. It's just easier logistically for him to be based out of a place like London. That would make complete sense from a business perspective.
Oh, totally. And that's the fact, I live in London, where I live in like northwest London.
It is a major world hub.
Oh, exactly. You've got London City Airport in the heart.
In spite of Wiggles being there.
Yeah, in spite of me being here, it's a major city hub. People have to get around me. But yeah, they're moving a lot of management to London. But so what, Caleb? They're moving a lot because business meetings are easy. You can say to someone, "Oh, fly into London."
I don't know that he's saying that. I don't know that he's saying that.
Actually, Caleb, I would worry not if where Hilmar goes or where Denebola goes, but where Seagull is. Because Hilmar is looking at CCP, Crowd Control Productions, as a company. Overall thing. He pushes Valkyrie, he pushes Gunjack, all of the games. Seagull is Eve.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know that it would matter that. I mean, look. Do any of us as players care that they're based out of Iceland? I mean, if they moved the entire operation to an island in the middle of the Pacific, I mean, we are an internet-based game.
As opposed to the middle of the Atlantic.
Well, yeah. I mean, we are an internet-based game. other than where people go for FanFest or whatever, it doesn't really matter that they're there. It doesn't matter if they're on Guam.
Exactly. As long as you've got a thing. Oh, she says I miss Soundwave so much. You know what? He moved on. People move on. This is the thing. I miss John Lander because he was a fucking good EP. He had his head, his head on straight, and initially I wasn't too fond of Seagull, but I've come on to liking her because she knows what she's doing. She's 100% behind it, and that's great. And this is what happens.
Yep. But anyways, we covered the CSM thing,
Yep.
A lot. Probably, given its relevancy to FanFest, probably a lot more than we should have. Well, I mean, again, during this time of year, right, the CSM gets a lot of discussion, during that whole election season, and now it's culminated, and now we'll see how things go. Other things at FanFest. Apparently, there were a lot of good discussions up there.
Yep.
I tried to watch as much of the stream as I
AFK
could.
2 minutes.
Okay. I tried to watch as much of the stream as I could to try and glean some information. But again, I don't think that there was anything major that came out. Even their trailers, okay, which I do find to be, more sizzle than steak sometimes.
Yeah.
Not like it was in the past, though. I didn't see anything come out of their trailers that was so unbelievable of them being able to follow through on.
Yeah, there wasn't no oh shit moment on the trailers, I think, because it's all the
No,
stuff we knew about.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't one of those things, and I refer back to it a lot. The trailer from, I think it was 2014, where it had the big war with, or the big battle that took place over what appeared to be maybe a player-built Stargate to wherever. With Project Legion, the Valkyrie pilots, and EVE Online all in one. They were talking about that whole unified, login thing, and all this kind of shit that was going on there that just has never played out. Now, who knows? Maybe 5 years from now, okay, or 2 years from now, or maybe tomorrow. Who the hell knows? Something like that will come out, and we can all look back and say, that's what they were, showing back then. But they've gotten good. They've gotten better. I don't want to say good. They've gotten better at recognizing, don't put out there something that you can't follow through on in a time that is reasonable enough for players to kind of latch on to, because all it will do is backlash if you don't follow through. So they are getting better at that.
Exactly. I mean, again, other things that came out from some of the things, jump fatigue is being looked at. Yes, we know this. Well, we know this now, that jump fatigue is actually being looked at. So,
well, no, jump fatigue is always being looked at.
Exactly.
I think that they are being responsive. They are looking at these things. We knew even before FanFest that this is something that they are open to considering tweaking if it needs to be.
Exactly.
So, one of the things that I think came out of there was stuff related to blops. But who knows? We may see other things related to jump fatigue. Obviously they're talking about the whole thing with links, with boosters. Okay, and links and how they're going to do that. I think it's kind of interesting that that these are going to be area of effect, and the area of effect may be different. I mean, I think I saw somebody put out there that Fozzie said something along the lines of, you could have things that are area of effect in the 100-kilometer range down to maybe 10 kilometers in range. That we used to talk about putting that links needed to be on grid. Well, even the idea of on grid. Is different today than it was back when we were talking about putting links on grid. So they're having to come up with other ways that make sense. These are all things that are out there that are, that they're working on, that they're considering, whatever.
Well, this is it. We know now the next iteration of things they're working on after Citadels. We know that we're going to be looking at the industrial arrays. That's the next part in the chain.
Well, okay, so and I just want to just flip to Nexus 7 said jump clones in the same station with no timer is awesome. That is absolutely true. That is something that a lot of us have been talking about for a long time. That hey, allow jumping to a jump clone in the same station with no cooldown or whatever. Allow people, because you don't want somebody not undocking because of the implants they have in their head, and they sit there and say, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to go out there and get involved in this battle. I've got my mining implants in, and I don't want to burn my jump thing over something that may or may not pan out. So, yeah, allow people to be able to do that. Absolutely great.
You know what's going to happen, though? When they allow it, people are going to forget to do the switch over and die with a set of +5 slaves.
Maybe.
Sod's law, though, isn't it? It's Sod's law. But then, that's what it is.
What was the thing that I wanted to come back to?
The next part of Fall for industrial arrays structures.
Right. Okay. So we know, and we have known. There's nothing new about this, right? That citadels are the first in the line of structures. We know that there are these other things coming out there. As far as the road, I was looking for more out of some future of the roadmap, something that was out there that we kind of understood what the right side of the roadmap was a little bit better. We know where we are now. We know that these other things are coming, and it is going to take some time to get these other structures out there. But we know that structures is a thing right now.
Yes.
A year ago, or
it was a lot more specific a year ago than it was this time around, wasn't it? Agreed. There's a lot of, crossed over lines and things, but there's not a whole lot of words over there that really kind of tell us sort of where things are headed generally. I wish they could have been more clear about the roadmap, but I know that right now we have a lot of work still left to do in this whole structures thing.
It's as you've said before, you've said it on Talking in Stations and everywhere else. It's the first in the line of 9, or at least 9 they've said, possibly, do this and do that. And that's how it is, and it goes. And
it's going to take time. I will absolutely be surprised if I don't know, at the end of the year, we're not still talking about some structures that haven't come out yet.
Oh, it's still going to be, we know fall. I mean, summer, we know in the summer that the capital ship rebalance for the Rorqual is happening. We know the contracts and citadels is happening, and we know the fleet boosts and the pirate faction capitals for the Serpentis. We know that for the summer. And then the fall.
Yeah, as LeBoat said, there was no roadmap just across saying you are here. It seemed like this roadmap was basically they just took that line of you are here and kind of moved it just a little bit and said, hey, there's the updated roadmap.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah.
We've been joined by a big country. How you doing, BC?
Hey.
You're good.
I just wanted to say I came in a little late. I just want to say, look.
I'm telling you down.
I've been thinking about this
loud.
a lot, and. It's the same thing I say about Tech 3 cruisers and about links. Me and Dirk. These are things that I think have to be taken out of the game completely before they start rejiggering them. And the reason why I say completely is because no matter what you do, somebody's going to get pissed. Either your low-sec roamers or your small gang roamers are going to get mad because the links are on grid and they don't have a chance to use them, or they actually do get a chance to use them, or your big gangs will be mad because now their links have to be on grid and they're just going to get insta-popped right off the field. So, I mean, for me personally, the only way to really adjust these is not while they're in game. I think you have to accept the fact that some of this stuff needs to be pulled out of the game completely and say, look, we're going to take these back to the drawing board and rework them in some way or fashion and try to do that as opposed to band-aiding them.
They did it with teams, didn't they? With the industrial teams, they said it worked for a while, and then you know what, it's not being, we're taking it out, and they'll revisit it if they need to. However, I'm going to agree with Crazy Horse 117 in Twitch. There's no way they're going to just flat out take T3s out of the game. They're not.
I think they're going to have to remove them from the game and say we're reworking these. These will be back in some form or fashion. But
Caleb says a big nerf will have the same effect.
Exactly, and that's just it, right? That if you have to put these ships somewhere in close proximity, right, within that area of effect that makes them susceptible to dying, if they're just going to die all the time or whatever, then people won't use them, and it's just like taking them out.
No, I'm not saying taking them out forever. Again, what I'm saying is take them out while you fix them, as opposed to leave them in the game and try to apply band-aids while in service.
Well, I'm going to say here that I don't think that they're going to take Tech 3s out, Tech 3 cruisers out, while they figure out how to balance them relative to other ships so that they don't make other
May
ship
not,
classes
but
irrelevant.
They
But
have to. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, let's be really honest.
no, because they can
Have
just make
hold on,
tweaks
wait,
along the
Let
way.
me just finish this real quick, Dirk, and then I'll stop. But I think they kind of have to. I think if anybody's really going to be honest with themselves, they kind of have to, because they have tried. They have tried there's been several passes. They have tried to rejigger and band-aid Tech 3 cruisers to kind of fix some of the balancing issues, and it's just not happening. They can't
Well,
do it.
remember, they're not going to when the links go onto grid, then Tech 3 cruisers aren't going to be used for them. You're going to have to use. Well, you might do. They're going to get popped, but command ships, as Fozzie said, they're going to get a look at and stuff like that. And again, it's these sort of things. They're not going to just instantly remove it, because that would just they remove, right?
Well, okay, that may be true, but when you have a ship like, say, the Loki or the Legion, where you can get, a cruiser with 200-something plus thousand deep, effective tank, and put out, 500-600 DPS, that right there is a broken ship.
Personally, I just think you don't remove the ship. You just put a codicil on the ship. Cannot fit command boosters. The warfare links. And then there ends your problem. They can still be huge tanks. They just won't be the huge boosting tank.
Mike. I'm talking about just in general. The way that they are, that they're just too legitimately badass.
Again, they'll get a balance pass. Again, balance passes happen. It takes time to do. They can't just instantly do it like that. Yes, I agree with you, BC. In the short term, removing them to fix them would be better. But in the long term, that's not going to happen, because if you do that, if you remove Tech 3 cruisers from the game, right? Wormholes, no one's going to live there to make money.
But I just want to, Ekrer Twillar said, why would they die any more than Logi? I'm not saying that they would die any more than Logi. I'm just saying that they will potentially die more than what they do today, by the fact of, you can stick these things hidden off into space, very low ability to scan them down, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If they have to be close enough on grid to the action, it just raises the chance of them being killed more. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Just like pulling Logi in closer because of the whole optimal range fall-off thing that they put in.
Oh, quick hint back on the last thing of this year, winter 2016, drilling platforms. That's the other structures we have been told that this year they'll be looking at.
Which is going to have an interesting effect on the whole moon mining situation out there, right? I mean,
It is.
All these things.
Oh, by the way, patch drops on Wednesday, not Tuesday this week.
Oh, okay.
Because FanFest, It's like, we're going to drop it on Tuesday. They'll all be hungover. They'll be at work on Monday going, no.
See, look, this is my point. Crazy Horse said they will never take them or nerf them. They're better than everything else for a reason. They were never supposed to be better than everything else. Never. I mean, literally, that's what they said they're not supposed to.
They're meant to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
You're supposed to be able to fit them with different subsystems for particular situations, so that they
And
could be
choose what
good
they're doing.
on the fly. It can take the place of multiple ships in a generic style, so that if you need a tank or you need a high DPS for the moment, you can trade those off with those subsystems and jump out and go do what you got to do. But it hasn't really worked like that. It's worked like that with the new destroyers.
The difficulty they have is there's so, as opposed to balancing hacks or recons or anything like that, right? Individual ship classes. The problem that they have with doing balancing to Tech 3 cruisers is there are so many configurations, possible configurations that they have to think about. It is difficult for them to do, and I think it's why you see with things like Tech 3 destroyers, they went a different path.
Exactly.
Number one, from the artwork side of things, but number two, from all of the myriad of possible combinations that have to be considered in the process.
And
I
that's
mean,
down to
that's
just 3.
why I say take them out of the game, recycle them, bring them back with the same type style of ship design that they have on the new destroyers, where you have the 3 settings, and that would pretty much be what they wanted from the beginning.
Yeah, but that's the thing, BC. If they you can't just instantly remove it. And again, I compared them to Teams earlier on. I know that was a bad thing to do because they're not the same as Teams. Teams was just removed because nobody was using it. Well, they were using it, but it was a different system. If you remove Tech 3 cruisers, that's it. Again, it's.
Equin Twilar says T3 are fine. That is somebody who just does not know what they're talking about. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. But anybody out there, I don't care who you are, go get one of the most prominent FCs in the game, and they will tell you that Tech 3 cruisers are broken. That doesn't mean they're not going to use them.
Well, hold on. It's not that they're broken, but again, when you get into the idea of what they're meant to do, right? You know, if they are a better hack than a hack, then
Hacks
that
need to
really
be
wasn't.
balanced.
Well, then that really wasn't what they were intended. If they are a better booster ship than a command ship, then that really wasn't what it was meant to sort of be. They were meant to be flexible. They were meant to be able to do jack of all trades type stuff, but not necessarily better than a ship that was specifically designed for that role. But again, it's an evolutionary process. It is something that I think is more difficult for them, but.
Yeah.
They're not taking them out of the game.
Well, again,
I don't see that happening.
Australia says even if they aren't fine BC, it would be a colossal mess to remove them.
It's not the first time they removed something from
well,
the
no,
game.
refund
let's
the
be
skill
honest,
points
so.
and the
Well,
buyback
no,
programs of all of it. But again, it would be my point on this is wormholes. T3s come from wormholes.
O'Shea, let me just answer O'Shea real quick.
Yeah.
My point is this, okay? So this is my point, and this will be this is why I been for the very beginning. Is look, when these people sit down and they try to balance frigates, cruisers, battle cruisers, battleships, they have to try and make sure that the ships they have, that they've invested the art and the time into creating these ships to get them in the game, have some role or purpose or have some use in the game, to where they're not like the MOA of old that never got used, or the ships today that we have that never get used because they just are not as good as other ships. It's a lot harder in that cruiser to battle cruiser range of doing that balancing, because at the same time that they're looking at what they have as cruiser and battle cruisers in Tech 2 versions, they also have this super duper ship over here, the Tech 3 cruiser, that they have to also look at while they're trying to balance these other ships. So I mean, if in that block, that creates a situation of, the Vagabond should be badass, the Demos should be badass, but nobody uses those really, because why use those when you can go use a Loki or a Proteus and get way more tank and way more DPS out of them?
Now, even though Klaatu Kane said I agree with Dirk at this point, okay, which I recognize is only a point in time, here's where I'm going to disagree with him on something else. He said, I'm so tired from CCP nerfing ships in EVE. Each time you skill extreme good to a ship, CCP nerfs it after. Look, ships get buffed, ships get nerfed, things change in the game as they tweak it here and there. Entire classes of ships go out of vogue and then come back again later on. This is just what we go through. And I don't think that that's any different than in other games. I mean, again, you look at some of these other games out there where, even more simple, first-person shooter type stuff or whatever, right? Where they buff this and nerf that, because maybe it was just too extreme for the circumstances. Here we have a lot more moving parts, in terms of, you look at this ship, look at a ship like the Ishtar, okay? Where it probably didn't matter so much, in say a high sec, from a high sec standpoint, but the way it got to be being used in fleet warfare showed that it was a bit OP again, when players take some of these things to an extreme, that is when CCP needs to sit there and say, well, that's not what we intended, because everybody and their mother was flying Ishtars at the time. When drone, when the whole thing with drones went down, right? And you could sit there and take an entire 256-man fleet worth of drones, Dami fleet, Ishtar fleet, whatever, okay, and give them to one person to create massive single-targeting alpha strike. They had to do something about that. It's not bad when used in, it's like a lot of things, right? When done in moderation, it's not OP, but when taken to an extreme, it is, and then they have to do something about it.
And that's what they do. And that's the thing. I'm sure that T3s are on the block somewhere. They will be. It's just a matter of time getting there.
I mean, what do you do? You either buff certain ships, and then once you get, at some point you've got to have nerfs as well as buffs. Okay, you can't just say, well, this ship over here needs love, buff it. Well, if the reason why it isn't being used is because this one over here is so much better, well, the other option is you nerf that one back a little bit to make this one over here more relevant. I mean, who flies Rokes anymore?
Miners.
Damn
it! Miners who can't go barge yet, but oh no.
No, Roke.
I know.
The Roke. The Caldari battleship.
I know, but the old adage was a Roke that you did a Roke with the Miners.
Yeah, well, yeah. I know. I did that back in the day.
I always wanted to fly one of those.
Still, let's move the conversation on slightly. Should we touch about the other big news of the week? The announcement.
Yeah, I mean, this obviously isn't a big talk of war show.
Nope.
I think that it's not a big. But however, we do still have the war going on out there. We have the war going on multiple levels. We have the war on the actual battlefield and in space. We've got the propaganda war that's out there. We've got the culture conflicts that are going on out there. And one of those culture conflicts, apparently, is related to Goonswarm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some OG original goons, maybe not being happy with the evolution of the organization over time. One of those people is the often outspoken but hasn't been playing for a while, Darius Johnson. Who has not only returned in voice, but is now returning to the game and forming a corporation and alliance that is centered around something awful.
Exactly.
Not coming back to Goons.
I like the comments in the Twitch chat right now where the paranoia, and the same has occurred to me, that this could be a tap dance just organized by the Goons to make it seem like they're fail skating and they're just going to turn around and Darius hands everything back to Mittens. Or it's a changing of the guard and Mittens is bowing out because he's become too big a target. But it's not a revolution as much as it is just a, what's it called in Peter Principle? A lateral arabesque. Mm-hmm. A sidestep, but it's not changing a single damn thing.
I just like the quote in the article at the very beginning. I didn't impregnate my wife so you people could ruin everything I created. Me, Darius Johnson.
Yeah,
I'll just honestly say I don't even care because I don't think it's going to be as big as stories they think it's going to be. Because first off, when Darius Johnson did leave, he did leave amongst. I mean, he did not just bow out. I mean, there was quite a few goons that were pissed off with the way that he left. It wasn't horrible from what I remember, but it was still some stickiness there. So what if he comes back? I mean, he's Darius Johnson. He hasn't been Darius Johnson in forever. You know, he was Scriggs or whatever for a little while. I don't know that he's going to come back as some big, huge savior.
Oh, I don't think it's and I'm not putting it out there as it's a savior thing. I'm putting it out there as somebody who has been away, somebody who was a known leader in the game at one point, is coming back, is providing what he seems to be putting out there as an alternative for potentially those people related to the Something Awful, forums group that Goons spawned from back in the day. It's just like anybody. It's just like, hey, if Shadoo came back, it's just like, hey, V came back. It adds another element. I mean, these are long time, hardcore people, and we'll see what he does with it. But again, it gets back into this thing of Mike, I would like to think that what you referenced before, is possible, right? This is all part of an underlying meta that is going on in secret cabal rooms, down in the bunkers. I'm going to go with, I think the simplest answer is probably what it is here. And if it turns out that it was this highly crafted idea that whatever, if it turns out that that's what it was, wow, we'll all sit there and go, man, that was that's some deep shit.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Although I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop in this sort of thing is somebody high up making the transfer from one organization to the other and carrying a ton of assets with it. But Goons have come back from that before. Like I said, Goons are freaking vampire werewolves. Silver bullet or a stake through the heart won't be enough. You got to hit them every way from Sunday, or you ain't killing them. And I'm not sure they can be killed.
I don't think that any culture that is based on something that binds them together outside of just their alliance name in game, right, can ever truly be killed. There were always jokes about AAA and things like that. But one of the things about a number of alliances out there, Goonswarm, PanFam, whatever the hell you want to call these things, right? They have ties that bind, that allow them socially to continue to exist, and what they do with it in game is a completely different story. You cannot kill them off. But maybe they're not what they are in the future. Who knows?
We will have to wait and see. But it is.
I just do find it interesting though. Okay, because I'm not saying that what DJ's doing is going to change the game. It's going to change the world. I don't think that's what it's about.
That's what it is, though. You think that he's going to come in and do this, and he said that currently the only people that can get in are people who are currently members of Something Awful. He's doing it for that reason. Okay, maybe he's trying to reform Ogunian because he's from the old school of goons, and that's it. He probably doesn't like what's going on. So I did find out.
What I do find amusing is this, though. Okay, and you've seen this quite a bit out there. A lot of the people doing the Gurgoon thing right now, okay, or who have been doing the Gurgoon thing, which has obviously been ramped up in all this. Hey, and for the record, I'm not a goon. I'm part of Bastion, so I am part of the Imperium, but not a goon. And those things are different at their core.
You're not a direct goon. You're a goon by association.
It's okay. I only hate you for personal reasons.
But it is interesting because a lot of the things that they say about Gurgoon and things like that, right? They probably wouldn't have liked DJ. They probably won't like DJ in the future, okay? But because it is anti-Mittani goons right now, it's like a hero to the revolution kind of a thing, right? Even though this is probably not somebody who A, likes them, or B, they would like either. So, it is funny how, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a thing.
Here's something that I found. When the CSM, obviously on Thursday, when stuff was announced and obviously Zenuria got on, and this is back, Darius Johnson said in his AMA 3 months ago, where is it says, Zenuria is currently being pushed by the CSM by Mittens and Scion and is an active participant in TMC. Mittani was made aware of this as soon as Zenuria showed up there. If Zenuria ends up an actual candidate and CCP and doesn't do the right thing and remove him from contention, I'll tell the rest of these stories. So he's been summoned to Reddit.
Talking,
this is the thing though. He will probably do it.
Rest of what story? About why Zenuria should what?
Well, I don't know what the stories that he was talking about on Reddit because
supposedly there's evidence of Zenuria out there promoting child.
Yeah, well, you know what? If he does, he does. You know what? But if he does it, yeah.
Well, no. If he does, he does. There's no if he does, he does on that. I mean, if he
not Zenuria. I'm talking Darius.
Porn,
I'm talking DJ. I'm talking DJ coming and doing his thing.
I thought you were talking about why.
No.
Oh, and here, let me just clarify something because Crazy Horse says that's not what DJ's trying to spin, though, Dirk. And I didn't quite know what he was referring to. And Crazy said he specifically said he's not doing this to cause a civil war. I'm not saying he is doing this to cause a civil war. I'm saying that he's coming in and he is forming this new group. Yes, apparently, I don't know, there may be blue standings or something, something along those lines. What I'm saying is just that in terms of the potential for weakening what people know to be Goon Swarm out there today, okay, his coming in and forming this new thing that is centered strictly around, the Something Awful people, it has the potential to draw people away. But then again, guess what? In this war, we see people falling away, to other organizations across the board. This is just one more thing. But again, it's another domino out there. It's another chess piece on the board, let's call it.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's trying to foment civil war within the goons. That's not what I'm saying.
Should we briefly touch on the MR Championships?
We can briefly touch on that. I think that, look, for me, I find that format to be a little bit boring, even relative to EVE tournament stuff. But it was tied into the whole lore thing and whatnot, so I understand why it was the way it was, and only Amara ships, and the way that they did it, where once you lose this particular, or once you win, then you can't use that again, and things like that.
All the banning. The thing is, I don't think the people can appreciate the level of complexity that went on. Most of that combat was done the day before and the days before with the forming, and that was the part that was interesting. The battles themselves just played out.
Yeah, there was an incredible amount of mental work that went. But I mean, just like with the Alliance tournament, with some of the teams who were involved with that, right? I mean, the planning and practice and everything else that they put into it. I am quite certain that this here added a level of complexity to all of that. I'm just not sure on screen it was all that exciting to watch.
Oh, I was on the edge of my seat for some of those battles when it was the final one with, they lose a ship, the other team loses a ship. Can they hold on? And watching it play out. But that's because I'm a EVE player and I love watching that sort of thing. I can't see that ever being popular outside of the niche game, as you keep saying, Wiggles.
It's what it is.
That's one thing I want to touch on real quick is Nash Cadaver was on one of those. He was sitting there with Bobmon, and they asked what he ran on the thing of esports. It's like, man, anybody that's really been around knows that EVE is going to have almost an impossible task of becoming an esport for anybody other than people that just watch that are interested in EVE. And we've got that already with the Alliance tournament. So I mean, because it's a joke of anybody who tunes in, all they see is a bunch of X's shooting X's or pluses shooting pluses or whatever. So I mean, I just really don't know how far people think they can take this game in the esports world. I really don't.
Whereas what we see are bars going up and down.
Yes.
That's what we get. Bars going up and down. Yeah. When you're watching the Alliance tournament, who's really watching the top? Maybe every once in a while, but most people are just watching the bars at the bottom to see who's dying.
Well, you see the bars going down, and then when it comes up to you, it's a camera. You look up and go, "Oh, it's gonna go," and you go bang, and it blows. That's a billions and billions of ISK. And that's the thing. I've always said EVE won't be a massive esport, as compared to your LoL or your Dota or...
What was the VR game that they brought out that actually looked like it had potential for being
that's the thing
esport?
with the hand stuff. That's the thing, like the full body, where they had stuff on their hands and whatnot, and they could fireball or whatever it was that they were doing.
Again, that was
that one looked like it had potential.
Wasn't that another 20% project that went, and they're going to put more into it now? I think.
Well, this was something that Hilmar kind of showed something about. Oh my God, I don't know. Was it a year ago now?
Project Arena.
Project Arena. Thanks.
Project Arena, yeah. He kind of showed some images of him doing some stuff back then, which is where the fireball joke sort of comes from, because it was like throwing stuff or whatever. Anyways, look, it's the evolution of VR, right? The evolution of VR is not just you sit in your chair with your headset and use your controller, but the evolution goes further than that. Certainly since console games like, I don't know, the Wii and shit.
Yeah. The Wii was the first one that started you to use, movements like that. Okay, you had the Kinect for it for the Xbox, which was good.
Yeah.
What? You had the Power Glove for Nintendo.
Dude, that yeah. The Power Glove, what you went beat,
but all
beat,
these
beat.
things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Duck Hunt.
Duck
Enough
Hunt.
said.
Duck Hunt, well, the fact that you could cheat and just go to the top of the screen and go, and it would work.
Durkinen says, I'm really sick of hearing about their projects. I want products that are coming, not something that will probably never happen. Look, I think that if you think that the evolution of VR to body motion stuff and whatnot isn't coming, maybe it's not coming from CCP. Maybe they won't be. Maybe they'll lose out on being at the forefront of that. But somebody else will do it out there. But it is, I think, out there on the horizon.
It's definitely out there on the horizon.
I mean, to me, it's just a merging of VR and some other things that you've already got kind of out there from other games, and now we'll take it to to the next level.
I mean,
I don't mind them showing projects like that because it shows that. Look, this is why they got $30 million in funding from a private equity group out there, to go in this direction, right? They're doing these other things and they're getting funded on it, and we'll see how it works out. It doesn't have anything to do with EVE at the moment. Not everything is going to. Again, when CCP talks, CCP is now a company that is more than EVE. We just need to focus somewhat on the EVE part of it.
It is what we do for this show, and we've also focused on CCP's other properties when it comes down to things that are in the EVE universe. Valkyrie, Gunjack, stuff like that. Project Nova, which looks amazing. And I tell you what, the one tiny little grain in the, somewhere, the little bit they said it's going to aim for it to be free to play, which to me, yes, great, but that means it's going to be microtransaction heavy for it to.
I think they had to do that. There's just too many free-to-play first-person shooters out there for them to try to compete that with a subscription.
Well,
The other way
It's the same thing that I'll say back when they first began talking to us about Dust, right? It is a crowded market.
Yeah. I get there, right? Not you know, it's not going to be a AAA or you know a thing where, but maybe if it was $10, a $10 price on the game, you buy it, that's it. You know, that I could deal with.
The Guild Wars model, buy once, play forever.
Yeah, pretty much. That would work, and not a stupidly overextensive price of like $60. I'm not talking like that. I'm talking your $10, your $15, maybe even your $20 to say, look, that's what it's going to cost you to get into it, but you're in it. That's it. It's in for life. You get all the updates. You know what? Or maybe they do go with that, and they do have a free-to-play model as well. They say, well, you know, the free-to-play model, you get stuff and you earn in-game currency, whatever. You can buy skins and that. If you've paid for it, you get a certain amount of, you know, stuff every month, and that's how it works out. And it's going to be interesting to see. When they announced it, I was like, good. They're doing it on the PC, which, you know, okay, FPSs on the PC are the best way to do it. Yes, you can play them on consoles, but the tie-in is that and again, the QA for the PC is there's a billion different combinations of stuff. Whereas you've got a console, whether it's the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, you know there's a set of hardware, and that's the limits you can push it to. Well, maybe not with the upcoming updates to them, but whatever. The moving forward of it is it's good for CCP to do this, and the people out there, and I know there will be people out there, and I'll probably get tweets, I'll probably get emails or whatever saying, oh, CCP shouldn't do this. Well, you said before that they should focus on EVE. Well, you know,
No, I didn't say that they should focus on EVE.
I know you didn't say that. There will be the people out there. There's the people out there that will say they should focus on it.
Oh well, look. I think that when you look at the properties that they have out there right now, okay, you know, EVE, which is this big cash cow, and it is very much unlike anything else out there. Although people make their their comparisons to Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous and things like that, right? But what they're doing with Valkyrie and over on that VR side, okay, they are at the forefront of that wave. What they're trying, and this is one of the things that has bothered me, whether it was Dust or whether it was Legion that never did whatever, or now what's it called?
Nova.
Okay, again, that is something where it is a very crowded field. They are up against much more competition than what they are up against with some of these other things out there. So I think it's a more difficult road for them to pull off. Because of the different options that people out there in that first-person shooter world.
Yeah, and by the way, mine and Dave's drinking game for the show. This is the talk show drinking game. Every time I say this is the thing, take a drink. Every time Dirk says look, or one of the other Dirkisms, take a drink. Every time Big Country interrupts Dirk, down a shot.
Hey, I feel left out.
And every time Mike adds a Canadianism in there, glug the bottle.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say sorry, Mike.
Sorry, you know, it's all a boot. Sorry. It's like, shit, I'm just down 2 bottles.
There was a time, and it was not that long ago, but there was a time when the EVE player base really got riled up about any time CCP did anything that wasn't related to EVE Online, right? Yep. I think that we're learning that, well, I think that is subsiding. It rears its head every once in a while. But just remember that just because they're working on these other projects does not mean they're somehow taking away from EVE Online. Because if Newcastle went away tomorrow, if Shanghai went away tomorrow, if any of these other places that are working on these other projects went away tomorrow, doesn't mean that those resources get dumped back into EVE Online. Mm-hmm. Maybe it just means that, you know what, more profitability for the investors of the company based off of EVE Online. But it doesn't mean that they would take a dev from over there and go, oh, okay, yeah, come over here and work on this thing, for EVE Online.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't allocate the resources, probably.
Again, that's how it is. It's just, again, I'm going to say it, this is a thing. Just how the game is. And again, remember, it's a game. Please remember that. Because a lot of people forget that. They forget it's actually a game. And they forget that, it's thing. I'm trying to think. Anything else we want to touch on?
I'm just looking here at
Yeah.
Total Eve to see if there's any headlines that.
There isn't anything. Again, because it's all been FanFest, so we know something going on. Laserhawks, 62 billion is lost there. Well, yeah, that's a lot of money. But again, that's all in comparison to what's going on this week. You know, when Wednesday comes and the game changes, that carriers won't be carriers anymore. They will be with a different thing.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I almost feel like everybody's holding their breath, waiting for this one to come down.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh, they are. I mean, well, there is this element of waiting out there. I'm going to be interested to see how quickly, the new capital changes come into play out there on the battlefield. With regard to, well, I don't see it coming into play very quickly with regard to this war. There is a side right now that has capital and super capital dominance. They control the airspace from that standpoint. So whether they do it with the new ships or not, I don't think changes anything related to this war at the moment. We'll see how they're used out there in other places that maybe are away from the current war zone, or just in PvE or low scale PvP someplace else.
I think that the Force Auxiliary is obviously going to be used because that is your logistics ship now. So they're going to be.
Where do you think the first Citadel's going to go up?
Not for a number
seriously.
of days.
I mean, which region or which system? Who's going to put them up?
I reckon. Well, there'll be mediums over high sec. There'll be mediums up straight away, like within 6 days.
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to see the smaller ones go up first, right? Because somebody out there will want to be the first.
Yeah.
Some people want to be the first with each one: medium, large, extra large, right?
Do you think anyone's going to shoot for the Palatine Keepstar?
Well, considering the
No.
as we saw on the keynote,
115th, yeah.
115th of all the assets in New Eden. But I liked the little caveat for it that the first
eventually
one,
I'll say yes.
The
but
first one that goes
not
up
anytime soon.
will permanently be there. Once it's destroyed, there'll be a wreck of it there, and it'll be a thing in the area. So I did like that.
If I had to guess right now who's going to be the first to put something up, it's probably going to be some obscure person or group out there.
Yeah.
But then again, it could very well I don't know, BPL. It could very well be somebody who just has the wallet. I mean, even for an extra large, right? You get it built and I don't know, they slap it down in a place where they can use it for propaganda purposes of some sort, or to say, here it is. Hey, do you guys want to come and fight over this?
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think it's going to be be the Imperium side, but you never know. There may be some guy out there who goes, I don't give a shit. I just want to put one up.
Well, allegedly,
Have you seen the charity one that they're talking
Skill
about?
training is destroyed and you died.
One person is trying to get organized and put up a medium citadel, a high-sec citadel, and
Skill
the tax
training is
income will
destroyed and you
start
died.
benefiting the charity groups like Broadcast for Reps, Care for Kids, and even the bus will get a small bit as well, just trying to take the market but put it towards good use rather than just lining somebody's pockets.
well, you see the cost apparently, again from Twitch chat, the Palatine Keepstar, the cost in US dollars is $3.5 million US.
Yeah, I mean, again, it can be destroyed. So if it gets put up, and it gets put up by somebody who can't muster the forces to defend it, well, number one, with that, if they've got the resources to be able to build that damn thing, chances are they've got the resources to be
I
able
was
to
thinking
try and
that too,
defend it.
Ashaya. I've got that in my back of my mind.
Yeah, in before that high sec donation drive for Citadel turns out to be a huge scam.
I think it's easy. Just get Kriba to be the one to collect and set it up.
Yeah.
I trust him. I trust me. It's a short list.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a short
It's
list.
a short list, yeah. How much dollars for the big one? Shadow us. Well, the Palatine apparently is 1/15 of the total economy of Eve right now, and that works out because somebody did some napkin math on the back of a napkin on Thursday's keynote to $3.5 million
No, yeah. But what? And I did miss the actual detail of what they meant by 1/15 of the Eve economy. Do they mean the value of all assets in Eve?
Yeah. That's what I remember.
That is just a crazy price. I mean, because again, they were saying something like, what is it? The value of all assets held in Eve? Because they went through like different regions, but then they said, the value of all assets in Eve is something like 3 or 4 quadrillion ISK.
Yeah, something like that. And then they work, obviously, because you can work that out for what a Plex costs, so the average cost of a Plex.
Oh no, yeah. I'm not worried about the real world comparison, but more along the lines of, Jesus, that is a metric fuck ton of money, ISK, in-game ISK, as well as all of the resources that go into, building it. I have no idea
Just
how much
over
shit that means.
Just over 3 quadrillion ISK, 3,070 trillion ISK.
Thing is, I want to go back and see when Summerblink shut down. You could see that staircase drop in the economy of how much stuff vanished.
Yeah.
How much went from one casino shutting down? If I Want ISK didn't spend all their money on funding this, could they afford that as the biggest signpost for we're legit? Look, we got the biggest city.
Yeah, I mean, as Caleb is saying, apparently it's 100 to 200 trillion ISK in value. Now, obviously, you don't need to come up with that ISK out of pocket, right?
Yeah, no, that's the raw materials.
If you've got access to the raw materials and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's oof.
I was gonna say that's a big tamale.
I agree, Shadow. I want to yell promo just to watch everyone jump for their computer.
Promo.
Good luck with that, because again, whoever does have that kind of ISK, it's also the forever support that's going to be required for it to not be the target of choice for people who want to make it blow up.
Well, yeah, and also you got to remember that the Palatine has got more defense. It's got more hit points and all this sort of thing. So,
am I wrong? You're not going to be able to put an extra large in high sec?
No, you can. You put an extra large anywhere you want.
Oh, okay.
It's just the Doomsday devices and all that won't work.
Wormholes.
No, you can. You can put extra larges wherever you want. The problem is with the extra large in the wormhole, you need to build.
Oh, that's right. It's got the thing with the.
You need the freighter to launch it, which means you need to build the medium. Sorry, build the medium, then to build the large, to build the freighter, to then launch the thing.
Yeah, and Caleb's saying caveat, those might be old estimates. And that's where I was going with the comparison to total assets in Eve for quadrillion ISK worth of total assets. If it's 1/15, that's more than 100 to 200 trillion.
Exactly. It's a lot. That's a lot of cash.
Hey, whatever.
God bless the guy. Those things are freaking beautiful, regardless of how much they cost or how effective they are. They do look cool.
Yeah. Right. I think we might. Have we got anything else we want to talk about on the?
I'm good.
I think we're good. We've done a couple of hours. Bit of a programming note. No show next week. I will not be in the UK. I will be on holiday. So no show next week. So
where are you off to?
Bulgaria. We're going with my girlfriend. We are going to go visit.
Because that's where everybody goes to holiday? What the hell are you?
That's where my girlfriend's from, and that's where her family is. And it's also her daughter's birthday next week, so we're going there for that.
Oh, okay.
Mega the sense, yes? It mega the sense. Also, oh, by the way, we had free food in the week. That was great. We went to a Bella Italia restaurant. They're like, oh, you can have free food. So just pay for the drinks. All going charity. Great. They were still opening. So anyway. So should we go around the horn? BC, are you here about?
I'm here.
Anything you want to pimp, promote, shout out, that sort of stuff?
No, I'm chilling, man.
You chilling? All right, I'll do it for you. Thursday nights on the Matani.com's Twitch feed, you will find the OpenCom show where BC and friends talk about stuff and Eve and television.
Do I still have an invite to show up to that if I do?
Yeah, man.
We might need you after this week.
I have a. I'm hoping it's I'm always hoping that it's not going to turn into something crazy, but then again, I make it turn into something crazy sometimes. But this week, I'm wondering what's. I can tell you, it won't be me this week.
No, the drama llama will not be parked in front of Dirk's house. It's on loan to somebody else.
Dear. So yeah,
Can I do my pimp out? I gotta head out
go for
fairly
it, go
short.
for it.
Okay, my usual one is pimping out not the CSM, because, hey, I'm almost done there, but Operation Magic School Bus. I'm still flying around to the rookie career system, still handing out free ships. So if you're a rookie, keep an eye open for me. If you're a rich vet, we do accept donations. You just do them to me. And if you don't believe that I'm real, sit in a rookie system and watch. I do get accused of being a unicorn and Santa, all in one, which is kind of a really bad mental image. But I'm doing my best to keep that number higher than, what was it Ghost said? 1.5 million people started playing the game, and half of them quit within 2 hours. I'm trying to change that.
That's what it is.
Mike, do you have anybody assisting you with that in terms of deliveries, or or are you just one man gang?
I have people who donate a few fitted ships and hulls and that sort of thing to various bases, but the assembly and delivery is me in the ever inimitable bowhead, and the handing out is me. No, this is what I'm doing.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know if you had other people that kind of work with you in.
I've had a few people volunteer to do it, and
Mike's
I'd
elves.
love to take it on, but it's like I said, that list is really, really short. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I know that feeling. It's one of those people you're the people you trust with the keys, and you say, right, you're gonna go do it, and then they scam you for everything, and you're like, right, that's it. Well, fuck it, all done now. Bye. That sort of thing. So.
And the horrible thing is, and oh man, this opens up a whole can of worms. The idea of the social corpse. I have the disadvantage of the bus cannot be a corp because I'd be war decked all to hell, and shot, and rightly so. So I got to run it as a NPC corp, which means I can't share a hangar or have any of the security. Either I hand somebody stuff, which I've done, and said, here, give this to other people, or I got to do it myself because I have no way to recruit and have other people in it without them risking war decks themselves.
Exactly. Still, you corp hang doesn't work. Yeah, I say, because the only other way you could do it is say, oh, come in the starter corp, but then they've got to find out what it is and this and that, and even then it's like, oh, well, yeah, no, like that. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out, and if somebody can tell me a way that I can exchange stuff and hand keys without handing keys to everything, and wormholers have the same problem. Trust issues abound. This is Eve, and I run into the trust issues on the other side. People are going, dude, why should we trust you? We've seen what your bounty is. And then I have to explain that not all bounties mean bad things. But then a bad guy would say that too, wouldn't he?
Exactly, they would.
So still doing the work, still having fun. I do about 1 lap a week. And then other times I do stuff like fly with Spectre Fleet, so shout out to them, or just run whatever the current events are. I like being out there in space. I got asked 2 days ago, with a bounty like that, you must hide. I am the least hidey person. If you're in Rookie Help Chat, I announce every freaking stop.
So should they have like a corporation that can be flagged when you make it as a tax-exempt corp, and the tax is set at 100?
No.
And you can't refine anything in that corp or anything like that?
No.
That it's only there for you to have the access to the social?
No.
They're working. I'm hoping they work on that in the new season of CSM. The problem is the makeup of the CSM doesn't look like one that's really conducive to pushing forward social corps. You know what I mean? Like, if it was going to happen, it should have happened this time around.
Well, it doesn't mean that it's not on the board out there someplace, and that somebody in CCP isn't kind of looking at it.
Because it's for you, right? It'd be you have the Magic School Bus, but you also have. I'm sure that something like that would help out Sindel Pelion with her thing.
Oh, she helps me, Sindel. And then before that, there was Project Halibut, and I know there's quite a few organizations that help, that will chat with you, have public channels that will help people. So it's keeping players in. I get a lot of paranoid people going, why are you doing this? Because I want the game to last. This is what I do to keep the game going overall. So it seems stupid, but I get to chat with a lot of people. This is my socialization. So I got no problem with doing the grunt work and the lifting, but Yeah, Mike is the one talking right now at Career.
Yep. I just linked your Twitter. There, that's probably the easiest way to get hold of you with that or in game, isn't it?
Yeah, Mike Azariah in game with a space in between the first and second name, and I'm always watching my Twitter. So those are the best two ways to get in touch with me. And on that note, guys, thanks for inviting me on, Wiggles. I really did have a good time today.
No problem, dude. You've always got a chair. You've always got a chair.
Thank you. I'll catch you guys later.
Take
See
it
you, Mike.
easy.
It is pretty amazing, Eve is obviously known for scamming and things like that, right? But you've also got these organizations that have been created over the years, these charity type things in game, charity or just whatever, community outreach or whatever you want to call them. Again, it's one more of those pieces that makes Eve the niche kind of super world that it is.
Exactly. All right.
Well, I guess I'll say my closing comments here. Two things. One, Thursday night open comm show. I know it's not everybody's cup of vodka, but it's just some guys hanging out and bullshitting. Friday night we got Talking in Stations, also on the Matani.com Twitch. This past week it was kind of cool. We had Vince Draken from NC Dot, as well as Grath, the man of many shows. He's starting to get close to Mike Azariah in terms of the number of places he shows up at. Everybody loves Grath. He's such a great guest.
Yep.
I don't know who we've got coming this next week, but anyways, and I am in full 100% hardcore Eve Vegas pimp mode. So from here until October, I'm just going to keep saying it. Tickets are on sale. I don't know. I haven't looked today. I got in at the intro price of $158 for the ticket. They only had 50 of those tickets available. Then it jumped up to $185. I don't know how many of those, but those sold out. Then it went to $211. I don't know what the price is now, if it's gone past that. But try and get your tickets as cheap as you can. Definitely, if you can come to E Vegas, come to E Vegas. It is a fuck ton of fun. But try and get your tickets as cheap as you can, obviously. But more importantly, your rooms. Get your rooms at the discounted price. Try and get that booked in early because you just what's cool about E Vegas, and I haven't been to FanFest, but what's cool about E Vegas, all right, is that it's all right there. The event, most of the people stay at the location of the event. There's like an entire mall. You got the casino there. You got the pool. Bring your wife, your significant other, whatever. You've got this big mall with restaurants and bars and all kinds of stuff. So you intermingle with the people more than just in the Eve area. You come across them, throughout the place because everybody's coming and going someplace, but all from kind of the same location.
Vegas prices, ticket prices, $211.09 right now.
Okay, so it's still at the quite.
It says E Vegas full event, not so early bird special price.
Right. Okay. The other thing is that if you are bringing a guest, okay, and you want them to come to the Saturday night party, all right, there is a, meaning that, let's say you're bringing your spouse or whatever, and they're not going to go to the nerd event in the actual hall, but you do want them to come to the big party at Chateau nightclub. There's apparently only 100 tickets for that available.
Well, I think that's the partner tickets. Because you can buy those tickets, the nightclub tickets, the garden tickets, because obviously
yes,
if you buy the full event ticket, that gets you a pass into that, yeah. But if you buy the party only, there's only 100. So I'm guessing.
And that's what I'm saying. So for those of you who are bringing a guest of one sort or another, I don't want to say just spouse, or I don't want to say just wife, but whatever. If you're bringing somebody else and you want them to come to that party, or if you're one of those people who you just want to go to E Vegas for the social aspect, you don't you don't even want to buy the full ticket to the main event, which also gives you the party ticket, but you do want to go to the party, you better snap those up because last year it was crowded at that party. Okay, E Vegas has gotten bigger. The rooftop lounge place that they host this party at Chateau was crowded last year, and I don't remember if they limited the number of tickets to only 100 last year or not. It may be their way of saying we don't want it to be so crowded, and we want to have the focus on the people paying the full ticket price for the event and the party. So, don't wait until August thinking that you're going to be able to get your
tickets,
spouse into that party.
Exactly. Make sure
Or
you
your
get out
guest or
there if you can go. And also for Stoker in chat, it says if it was a month earlier ago, I need warmer weather. It's Vegas.
Well, one of the things this year, and following eVegas last year, eVegas has always been in October. It's always this kind of opposite polar to FanFest, right? They sent out a survey to the people who attended last year because they were asking about Halloween. All right, asking would you want it to be held around this time a little bit later in the month, and have it because Halloween's like on that weekend or whatever. And that is when it is. It's basically being held over Halloween weekend. Okay. I said no. I didn't think that was a good idea because there are people out there with kids of that, at least in the United States, anyways. And this is a United States-centered thing, or a North American-centered thing, whatever you want to call it. There are people who have kids of Halloween going around age, and maybe that means that they can't come to this because they have to do these things with their kids. But it is around Halloween. So for those people who can't come because they have to do family things, I'm sorry. But for those people who are going, I imagine that Halloween in Vegas might actually be pretty freaky.
Yeah.
Well, I've sat down with the wife, and we've actually worked out a thing. Like I said, my thing is mostly my physical condition. I got to get that under wraps. But my wife is really wanting to go. She's been wanting to go somewhere. She's been begging to go to just the fucking beach.
Well, send your wife.
Well, no. I mean, so we have plans. We're already working on them to probably go to eVegas, but it won't be for eVegas. Ours is just going to be
Skill training is destroyed and you died.
That's just going to happen to be at the same time that the eVegas thing goes on because, you know what? I mean, I'm not too concerned with trying to sit in one of these things all day listening to these, to the things. I'll catch up on them when I get back.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try and make it this year, at least just to be out there to kind of meet
For the
people,
social
socialize
party.
a
You'll
little.
go for the party thing and the social stuff. Be there for the event.
I'll be honest. I spend more... God. I spend more time outside of the event rooms just chatting with people or out at the, because you got to to go have a cigarette, you got to go out to this place out by the casino, and you end up getting all kinds of people around there. Even people who aren't smoking, they just know that it's kind of this communal meetup.
It's the place where you chat, isn't it? It's the water cooler effect.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it is.
If it wasn't for the fact that, look, the event ticket was, or at least when I bought it, it was $158, right? The ticket that I bought for the party for my wife was like $85. There was almost a consideration I had this year about whether buying the event ticket was worth it for me or not. But for like $70 difference,
Yeah.
I was going to do it.
Exactly.
There's a lot of reasons, and it is what I like about eVegas is it's not just about Eve. That's the reason maybe why you're going, but there's all these other. It's Vegas. I'm not even a gambler. Okay, I didn't gamble $1 last year. I'm not good at it. The loss of that, I would rather spend my disposable entertainment money on something else. And there are those things to do. I took a helicopter flight over the Grand Canyon last year. This year I'm probably going to go ziplining. It'll be, there's a lot of things to do. It's an exciting kind of place. I like these destination locations for something like this because I can mix the Eve thing along with the the me thing.
Well, I think, they say Vegas is coming up. I think that's pretty much it. As I said, no show next Sunday. I will not be here. I will be in Bulgaria on holiday for a few days, getting out. So pretty much that's it. TotalEve.com. Go there. The place to find all the information that you need to because, well, why not? Just go there. You know what? Just go there. Just do it right now. Do it for me. Make me happy. Just go there and get your e-fix. Yes, we fixed the Crossing Zebras feed on there, and we're going to replace their logo this week because they had a new site relaunch. We've replaced that. There's still EOCTV still doing its launch phase, I guess. So we're still waiting for their new feed, but everything's on there. It's all good. We are still slowly waiting, but use it, bookmark it. Fully mobile responsive, works perfectly fine. And no, we are not doing an app because fuck that. That's pretty much it. Music will carry on. First song of the show will be Prince, Purple Rain, because, well, pour one out.
Rip Prince.
Yeah, Rip Prince, yo.
The world lost one of the greatest musicians. It really did. I mean, yeah.
Again,
I don't know. I'm just saying.
2016 has been a shitty year for that, but you know what? And you know what? We've still got Donald Trump.
2016. It's like the year that won't end.
It's the year that won't end, and Donald Trump will be president, and then he'll build that wall, and then all of a sudden, YOLO. We're out of here. Fly safe. I'll see you in 2 weeks. YOLO. YOLO, innit? That's what it is. Fly safe, and we'll see you soon. Take care, and that's pretty much it. Later.